everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 19 of the Big at the Back podcast. I'm Tom. I'm joined by Matt. Matt, how are you?
Good, thanks. It's been a little while with breaks and whatnot and me being away. But yeah, it's good to be back. I'm not so bad. New York was great. I still feel like it was a year ago already because since I've been back, it's basically been non-stop football. And what more could you ask for at this time of year? How are you, Tom, other than the obvious?
Well, I've managed to go away to Dublin and somehow come back with COVID. So that's a nice early Christmas present for me. But there has been a lot of football. Unfortunately, there's also been a lot of FPL as well.
Well, you say that. I mean, I don't feel like it's been horrendous.
Kind
Or
of.
am I speaking for myself there?
Yeah, I've dropped from 3k in the world to 34k in the world. So that's a 1,100% drop.
Yeah, but I mean, everything's relative, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
I've just got back into the top mill this week. So, you know.
So here's me complaining about 34k, thinking the world has ended.
Life is so hard for me.
Festive fixtures are coming thick and fast. So why don't we have a look at last game week? Talk me through what your team looks like at the moment and how it did last week, because it's been a few weeks and we've both made quite a few changes since then.
Yeah, so I currently sat for the last week on 58 points with 5 points still to come off the bench when they eventually decide what they're doing with this game week, because obviously there's the big thing around the Bournemouth Luton fixture, which was abandoned after Tom Lockyer collapsed. So obviously, I think first and foremost, it's worth saying that the good news is that he seems fine, and FPL is really irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. But obviously, that's what we're here to talk about. So yeah, so Areola currently with 0, but Turner to come in with 2 points. Livramento with 9 points. Go on, boy. Civicas with 7 after you said he was going to get his arsehole torn to pieces by Anthony. And Kabore with 2. The disappointing captaincy of Mo Salah, but at least he got a clean sheet.
Yeah, it was Salah or Son. Salah or Son, and Son got 2 points. So
yeah, there you go. Bowen with 8, Saka with 3, and Cole Palmer with 14. So that went fairly well. Isak with 0, which was very disappointing when I saw that he wasn't in the squad. I started Haaland just in case, obviously with 0. Watkins with 9, so that means I've got Garnacho coming off the bench with another 3 points. So that does actually mean I'll only have 10 players this week. But I'll take 63, it's above average. And obviously there's a lot of people waiting to see what happens with Solanke and his 6/9 points, depending on what they decide, but we'll see.
6/9/0 potentially, because if they are rearranging the game, then they can't have 2 teams playing 39 games over a season. So I imagine all those FPL points will be wiped out. However, for the owners, that would be kind of bullshit. So I don't want to speculate because we don't know what's going to happen, but I imagine that feels like the likely option, which sucks for the owners. And loads of people brought Solanke in this week as well. So it's just one of those things you can't control that's horribly frustrating. So my team, I got 51 plus 2 coming off the bench, so 53, but then -4 because I took a hit this week. So yeah, looking at 49 overall. Dubravka in goal, brilliant transfer in. I'm super happy I did bring him in. He's got 7 points. It's good because Areola's still sitting there on 0 on the bench. Brought in Colwill this week, who's given me 6 points, which is very nice. Tsimikas, I did start him with 7. Dallo with 3, man. He was on for 9 points. Such nonsense. Like, how do you get 2 yellow cards for dissent for 1 dissent? Like, what he said must have been horrible. I have no idea what happened there. Do you?
I think what happened was the first bit was him going crazy and throwing his arms around everywhere for the actual decision. Then he got booked, and then he was dissenting the yellow card, which was the second yellow. So yeah, I mean, it's funny because, to be fair, Darwin properly got away with it earlier in the game as well, because he got booked for kicking the ball away.
Let's not mention Darwin. I've got a big rant coming later.
Oh, excellent. I'll save it.
But yeah, I feel like I'm very unlucky getting 3 points from Dallo. And again, it's one of those things. You've got to laugh about it. Nothing you can do about it. Whatever. He's already gone from my team. I went for Sterling a few weeks ago over Cole Palmer. I was just thinking Palmer on 4 yellow cards, could miss game week 18, could still miss game week 19. And also with Nkuku coming back, he's good chance of taking Palmer's spot. And you don't know. Sterling, I felt, was more certain and had more upside, but only 6 points for him. Annoying. Salah captaincy, Hwang with another 2 points. Son, who I brought in, back in with 2 points. Saka with 3 points. And Watkins with 9 points. 2 points coming off the bench for Archer. So a fine game week. I've dropped about 15k places this week, but it's not the end of the world, and it is all relative. It's still early in the season, and everyone is pretty clumped together. So I guess, shall we start? Actually, I want to start with Newcastle 3, Fulham 0, because I didn't see this coming at all. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I think, the main issue here was the Jimenez red card, wasn't it? And I think once that happened, it completely changed the game.
If you'd have asked me one player is going to get sent off for just jumping into someone ridiculously for no reason and hitting them on the back of the head, and they're going to get sent off for it, I'd have said Romero. I'd have said Darwin. I'd have said Richarlison. I would not have said Raul Jimenez. Of all people, he is probably the last person I would have expected to do something that stupid.
Funny, though.
Yeah, very funny. Makes Jimenez untactical. I actually was thinking about Jimenez as a differential for this week. So I was thinking Fulham scoring goals for fun, Newcastle conceding a lot, maybe a bit of a punt, but glad I didn't.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his overhead kick from about 30 yards out, though, which, fair play, he got it on target. But yeah, and obviously everyone without Newcastle not having Trippier, that was another big factor going into the game. And like you say, Fulham had free scoring, scored 5 against West Ham the week before. But yeah, I think it was a bit of a surprise, but it just goes to show, Newcastle just seem to somehow keep churning out results despite losing players every week. Obviously, Shaw went off injured and Joe Linton went off injured as well. So they really are scraping the ground now. I know they're getting a few people back, so hopefully they can just sort of cycle the old injured players out and the new injured players. So I feel like they're just churning them out. And obviously Wilson's coming back now, so you've got the debate of Wilson and Isak and splitting the time. So I think it's time for me to move off Isak now.
Yeah, the answer, Wilson and Isak, who do you go for an FPL? The answer is neither.
Yeah.
With them both there. Yeah, they've lost. To be honest, losing Shaw, painful, but manageable because Dan Burns back, Botman was on the bench again. It's going to be okay. I think that does impact Livramento's minutes with Dan Burn being back, so I think he's probably a sell now. Thank you for the points and move him on. The next 2 for Newcastle are very good. Luton away. Okay, it's Luton. They'll get in their faces. They'll keep it tight. Newcastle will probably win that match 1-0. But Forest at home, Newcastle could absolutely go to town on Forest. They're great at St James's. I think that could be a really fun fixture to have Newcastle assets in. The problem is I moved Trippier out just because he was blanking. And because after that, it's Liverpool, City, Villa, all in a row. So I almost think the next 2 you want to be on Newcastle for, but after that, you want to be escaping them.
Yeah, I think the only way you're sticking with them is like an Anthony Gordon or someone who's a fairly budget midfielder, but you don't want to be on their defenders. And as we said, you can't be on either of their forwards. So if you're going anywhere near them, it's in that midfield area.
Anything to be said for Fulham from FPL? The next 2 games are Burnley at home and Bournemouth away.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, without Jimenez, that's a big miss for them. I think he was starting to come back into form 3-2 before that, having scored, I think, 3 in his last 50 or something from what I heard on Match of the Day. I feel like their points are just being spread around a lot, though. So it's really hard to invest in any one particular player. I think if you look at the 5-0 win over West Ham, all goals were scored by different players. So it's hard to really get invested because you don't know where the points are coming from.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, actually. If you look at the fixture difficulty ticker, top for the next 4 games are Chelsea, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Luton, and Fulham. Now, the first half against Sheffield United, they were terrible.
Yeah, this is what you get with Chelsea, though, isn't it? You really can't predict them. They are so unpredictable. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Nkunku now coming back into the squad. They do play tonight as we're recording this on Tuesday in the Carabao Cup. I think that's against Newcastle, actually, who we've just spoken about. So maybe he'll get some minutes there. It'll be interesting to see if he does and how he plays, obviously coming back off such a long injury layoff, and whose minutes that's going to impact. And obviously, Palmer's sort of been playing in that 10 role a little bit, but I can't see him being dropped because he's been in such good form. So it's going to be hard for him to come into that side. But you want to be looking at them somewhere, don't you?
Maybe for Jackson as the striker role. So he's not coming in for Sterling or Palmer.
No, definitely not. The only other option really is Mudryk, but who do you then shift out to the left because Nkunku's not a left winger?
Sterling, I would guess. Or maybe you do it Sterling and Jackson together up top. Nkunku and Jackson together up top with Sterling and Palmer just behind. And then just behind there, we've got Caicedo and Enzo. The problem is Enzo can't run.
That is a problem.
So, yeah, tricky one with Chelsea. They've got great fixtures, but I'm doubled up. I wouldn't really want any more. There's no one else there I would want, realistically, if looking at the entire Chelsea squad. And Palmer, while he's still a buy, he is on 4 yellow cards, and the fixtures do swing quite dramatically again once you hit game week 21. And for anyone that hasn't been paying attention, game week 21 is when we will lose players to AFCON and to the Asia Cup. So people like Hwang, people like Son, people like Onana, Mo Salah. So we're going to be losing a load of players that are relevant to FPL in that game week 21 period. So you want to keep your transfers ready and keep that in mind as you're building for the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's a killer because I wanted to get Kudus in. But especially as West Ham's fixture in 21 is Sheffield United away. And then Bournemouth at home.
Yeah,
so,
I'm going Bowen from that week onwards. But yeah, I think you've got to be very, very careful when you're looking at the long term. It's another reason, spoiler alert, I've moved Hwang out already this week alongside Dalot, just because he's not going to be relevant. And I'm also preparing for Son leaving as well.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. I'm just to cover off on Chelsea. I am looking at potentially bringing in a Chelsea defender this week. Potentially Colwill, he's cheaper because I've still got fucking Tarek Lamptey just wasting a space in my squad.
Well, Colwill is guaranteed the starts now with the Reece James injury again. I think Kukurea and James are both injured again. I think Colwill is the most nailed on to start at fullback, either side. So
I just can't believe that you were considering bringing James in again.
But I didn't.
And yes.
If I'd have done it, I knew what would happen. I saw it coming a mile off, so I talked myself out of it. Then again, I am getting myself hurt again. We'll reveal that later on.
I can't wait.
Give me your thoughts as a kind of neutral on Liverpool Man U and what a shit game of football it was.
I was so disappointing, wasn't it? It was just everything was building up to this. Obviously, there was the 7-0 last season. Liverpool have been in good form. Man United have been terrible. It wasn't a feast of football that we expected it to be. It was in terms of Liverpool dominated the ball. We all thought that would be the case. But I think you've got to give Man U some credit. I know Virgil van Dijk wasn't particularly happy about it, but they came with a game plan. They stuck to that game plan. And they came away with a clean sheet, which is as much as they could have asked for. They had a couple of chances as well. So it's not as though they didn't create anything. Rashford had a chance late on as well. So, it was disappointing in terms of the big ending to the weekend that we were all hoping for. But I think you've got to give Man U credit. I thought Varane had a really good game. He's got to be working his way back into that starting 11, surely. I know Ten Hag seems to not favour him, but...
You know my thoughts on this. He's on too big a salary.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. But he's probably one of 2 fit centre-halves they have now, so they haven't really got a choice.
No, definitely not. Sorry,
can I just say, can you imagine if 3 years ago 3-4 years ago, you said to someone that Rafael Varane would be starting alongside Johnny Evans as his centre half partner, like your brain would be going, "What team are they playing for?"
Honestly, God knows. So really boring game. To give credit where it's due, the ref got pretty much every call spot on, except for the ridiculousness of that Dallo red card in the last few minutes. That was the ref going, right, how can I make this all about me?
I think it was the perfect decision, and it was fucking brilliant.
So I can't even be angry at it. I just find it very funny. Imagine if Liverpool had scored, though. Imagine how up in arms everyone would have been about that decision. So that's the only kind of questionable one I have. The ref did really well. I think Man U played a very, very low block, and we just couldn't get through it and couldn't penetrate. Luis Diaz was shocking. He was terrible. Salah was trying, but he was essentially trying on his own. Szoboszlai had a really, really poor game by his standards. He's obviously just knackered. And I think without Alexis McAllister, we look a lot more fragile and a lot worse going forward because he is the cog to that midfield. Darwin. If you'd have said after the last 4 fixtures, so the last 4 fixtures were Man U, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, and Fulham. In those 4 games, Darwin Núñez has more yellow cards than attacking returns. He has 1 assist from those 4 games. Like, he used to be a guy that you'd say, oh, well, he's getting in the right positions, he's getting the XG, he's just not great at finishing, but when he sorts it out, now he's not even getting the XG. And I've completely turned on Darwin. I think he's born offside, needlessly offside, by the way. It's not like they had a good offside trap. It was just Darwin being a fucking idiot. Like, he's genuinely makes us worse. Against Crystal Palace, he was shocking. And when Gakpo came on was the first time we started looking good. Gakpo was quite shit against Man U as well. But I just don't think Darwin is up to it at the moment. I don't know what's wrong with him, confidence or whatever. In this fixture last season, Darwin got 2 goals. Can you imagine coming away from a game and saying Darwin got 2 goals now? You just wouldn't, would you? So I think he's had 18 months now to get into this Liverpool team and cement his place and prove his worth. He's not even come close. Like, he's sometimes looks on the peripheral, but he's going backwards now. And I think it's time to cut our losses. Let's sell him for like 40 million and buy a new striker.
I mean, at least it means you will stop sending me screenshots of you looking like you're going to bring Darwin into your team, because that was just getting boring because you were never going to do it. At least now we know for a fact that you're not going to.
I toyed with it for a while, but no, I'm definitely not going to now. You know what? Last game week of the season, if I'm in the top like 5K or something, maybe I bring him in and captain him. Or if I'm trying to get into the top million, if I landslide like I did 2 seasons ago. Do you remember that epic landslide? I was like 30K and ended about 900K before I started creeping back up again. So if I start landsliding again, maybe I'll YOLO it with Darwin.
Yeah, fuck it, do it.
Regardless, yeah, really toothless from Liverpool. I think we are heavily missing Alexis McAllister, and the sooner he is back, the better.
Is there any time frame on that you know
of? Hopefully the weekend, but unlikely. But definitely by New Year. Also worth noting that the fun with Tsimikas might be over soon. Robertson's due back around the new year. So that fun period might be finishing up soon, which will be very sad. I do worry about Liverpool going forward as well without Salah, because come January, no Mo Salah, we're going to be really bereft of goals. And if you look at Liverpool's other forwards, Darwin, no Premier League goals since mid-October. Diaz, beginning of October. Jota, end of October. Gakpo, end of September. Like, the other forwards are not scoring goals for Liverpool. So it's kind of terrifying what we're going to do without Salah.
Yeah, it is tricky, isn't it? I mean, and like you say, it's not as though he was tearing up trees. I know he was sort of a one-man team at times at the weekend. And even if you look at his returns, like, he's a 1 big haul in his last 5 and then a couple of assists as well. It does feel like maybe you're going to have to it sounds stupid to do some business in January, but the players you've got at the moment aren't doing it, and unless something changes between now and that game week 21, it could be a bit of a struggle. Especially, I mean, the two of your three games before that as well were Arsenal and Newcastle, which are obviously two very big games. So if you don't come away with sort of 4 points from those two, then it could be a real difficult period throughout January when Salah goes missing.
Yeah, I very much agree. With Arsenal is going to be a really, really tough game. I think Arsenal definitely go into that favourites. It's at the Emirates as well. I think it'll be very tight knit. But
it's at Anfield.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, it's at Anfield. Okay, that may make it a bit more of an even game. But yeah, I really worry about that match. Arsenal. Shall we chat Arsenal? Because while they looked good and Saka maybe should have had an assist for that first goal,
there is no consistency around this rule, is there? No. Sometimes it just gets whipped in, bounces around, and they still get an assist. Whereas this one, it was a very slight flick off the head of the defender straight to Jesus.
Always been the case with assists, though. They
just flip a coin, basically. It's like, yeah, that'll do.
So, but after the Liverpool match, they have West Ham at home, Fulham away, Palace at home, Forest away, all in a row. I think I am going to be looking to bring in Martin Odegaard for that run of form.
Yeah, if it wasn't for this good-looking run of fixtures, I'd be looking to sell Saka. Because I just feel like he's not living up to his price tag at the moment. But I can't sell him with that run of fixtures coming up. If they had like two trickier fixtures than, say, Forest and Palace or West Ham, like any of them were slightly trickier, I'd be thinking, how can I use this money elsewhere, because I think it could be better spent elsewhere. That being said, it's not worth it with those fixtures. With Salah going off to AFCON in a few weeks as well, it's just not worth it. But I feel like they're flattering to deceive a little bit. I feel like that midfield three that we were all banking on last season have really not lived up to that standard that they set.
Agreed. However, I will dispute your Saka claim. He's ticking along with, say, an assist or so every game, but that is starting to build up. Harry Kane last season, people went the whole season without getting Kane because he was only getting a goal or assist every single game week. But he ended the game as the second top scorer. That consistency is important. And Saka is the third highest scoring midfielder behind Salah and Son, and he's cheaper than them both. Yes, Bowen and Gordon are both having great seasons, but they're still both behind Saka. And I think he is still the third best midfield asset in the game you can have at the moment. And when Salah goes, he'll be second.
Yeah, like I say, especially with the features, I can't get rid of him.
I don't think you can drop him at all. I don't think there's any scenario, unless he gets injured, where I drop Saka between now and the end of the season. I think he's consistent and he's delivering regularly. And that's all the while he's not on penalties as well. So once he starts taking a few more penalties, I think they'll go up again.
Yeah, I guess I'm just sort of still holding him to that pedestal that he was on last season, which is not sustainable.
Can I tempt you with another
Kai
goal?
Havertz.
Another goal. Kai Havertz has more open play goals this season than Chelsea.
That is disgusting.
Honestly,
they're going to be sick.
Up your ass. Kai Havertz, option on FPL, rightly or wrongly, he's starting regularly. He's the most attacking of their midfield three behind the attacking three. He's going to be getting regular minutes. He can move forward. 7.5 million on FPL?
That's too much for him. By about 6.5 million.
I'm just saying, I think he's an option.
He could score 7 hat-tricks in a row, and after like 4, I'd still be like, nah, he's shit.
Just throwing it out there. Gabriel Martinelli looks very good, but again, no points. What's your read of Martinelli this season? Because I would like to say I want to own Martinelli. It's not there at the moment.
No, especially at that price. I know he's cheaper than Saka and Odegaard. But I mean, like you say, he's been outscored by Kai Havertz in FPL so far, and Declan Rice.
Yeah.
So at that price, there's no way you're going near him. Like you say, he looks good, but he's just not the one getting the goal or the assist. So you can't bring him in, and especially with the other options, obviously with Havertz coming back into form, there's only so many starting berths in that side. Saka's going to start, Erdegaard's going to start, and then Jesus is probably going to be the number 9 as long as he's fit. That leaves Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard all battling for one position essentially. While Martinelli probably is the favourite to start, he's also probably going to be the first one that gets hooked every game.
Yeah, agreed. One other team that we have to talk about because of the fixtures coming up are Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I brought in Son this week. He didn't pick up any points, but the next 3 still look good. It's Everton at home, Brighton away, and Bournemouth at home before Son leaves. Now, I have transferred in for my sins. Matt, I did it again. Matt. So, there is reason behind this. Now, I brought in Richarlison. Cue the laughing track. The reason is he's been out for a while, but he was playing at the start of the season with a knock and with an injury, and he had surgery, and that's why he was out for a while. Since he's come back, he's looked fresh, he's looked energetic, and crucially, in that Tottenham side, he's playing as a number 9 and interchanging with Son. Now, Kudus in that 10 frees up Son to be a bit further forward and frees up Richarlison to play off the last defender. So Richarlison is going to hang around in that box and be in the right place at the right time. He didn't have a good game. The last game, he just didn't. He was quite poor. But again, right place, right time. I would say Son did have a good game and he could have got points. But again, wasn't right place, right time because Richarlison is taking up those spaces. So for now, I'm doubled up. I've got both of them. And I'm quite happy over the next 3 to be doubled up. And when I move Heung-min Son out when he goes off to the Asian Cup, it means that I'll still have the focal point of the Spurs attack. So I think Richarlison is a smart and logical move. For all the reasons we said at the start of the season, I think they're actually applicable now, and I'm ready to be hurt again. Prove me wrong.
Well, as I said to you earlier, he's playing his former club this weekend. It will be a hat-trick and or a red card, and there's no knowing what's going to happen. But I mean, that being said, Everton look a lot better now. Dyche has sort of moulded them in his image. 4 games in a row they've won, keeping a clean sheet in all 4. I think it's been 21 years since they last did that, which is some record. You'd like to think they're not going to keep another clean sheet this weekend, but you never know.
Never know. On their appeal, I think Everton should actually apply for their points deduction to be increased to 20. Just to punish future teams that do similarly. Just because they're going to be safe anyway.
Yeah, and then imagine how many points City will be deducted. They'll probably get points added on.
No, I was going to say City will be punished, and therefore Arsenal, Liverpool, and Everton will all be deducted 50 points each.
The other person, if you're looking at discussing Spurs, is Pedro Porro.
Because that was one of the luckiest and most fortunate clean sheets I've ever seen in my life. And without that, Porro gets 2 points. So well done, Porro owners. You had your fun. Go and live your sad little life elsewhere. Spurs aren't keeping any more clean sheets until the new year when Van de Ven is back.
Yeah, but they're not even necessarily clean sheets. It's in his four out of his previous 5 games before that, he got an assist. So he is an attacking outlet. He's
looking really good. He's on all corners, all set pieces. The challenge is with Porro is that it's Spurs. They're not going to keep many clean sheets. And when you can't rely on that, especially at a price point now, 5.4 million, that's a lot to spend on a defender you're not expecting to keep clean sheets.
Yeah, 5.5 even now.
Wow. So, for me, if I'm going to spend that much on a defender, I'd rather go Ben White or Saliba.
Zinchenko?
Yeah, I'd rather go Zinchenko than Pedro Porro, especially with Arsenal's fixtures after the Liverpool match. What other teams are worth talking about based on the fixtures? We've covered Newcastle. I know West Ham won 3-0, but the next 3 matches, you've got Man U at home. Okay, fine. It's probably not a great fixture. But then it's Arsenal away and Brighton at home. We know West Ham's record against Brighton. apart from earlier this season. But in general, Brighton are going to want revenge on you. And then you lose Kudus. So I don't think, despite his 2 goals, Kudus is an option because 3 hard games and then he buggers off.
Yeah, I think if you go in West Ham, Bowen's still the one that you've got to have.
Yeah.
He's already on 10 goals for the season, which is incredible. Awesome. Bearing in mind, like a few years ago when Antonio got to 10 goals, he was the first West Ham player to get 10 in the Premier League in about 17 years or something. So to be on 10 goals at this point, he looks set to break Di Canio's record of 16 Premier League goals in a season, which somehow is West Ham's most ever. Yeah, I know. It's really underwhelming. If you go back pre-Premier League, it goes up.
Yeah, we're not though.
Yeah, but football didn't exist before 1992, remember?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Bowen's the one in. He's scored in every single away game he's played in this season in the Premier League, which is an outstanding achievement. Arsenal away is the next one. See if he can carry that on. I don't think Brighton's a bad fixture for him either at the moment. He's playing in the number 9 role. Him and Kudus have been switching it up. So I don't see that there's any reason not to get Bowen in. And then we've got a couple of decent fixtures after that in Sheffield United and Bournemouth.
Yeah, I'll be bringing Bowen in and possibly captaining him that week. Oh no, game week 21. Manchester City have Newcastle away. Actually, yeah, that's a Captain Bowen territory.
You never know. Speaking of captaincy, is it Ollie Watkins' time to get the armband this weekend?
It's Watkins' time. If you look at the captaincy options, Haaland's out and not playing. So you're looking at Salah, Son as the main 2. Now, Son is playing Everton, who are good at defending and now have a really low block. If they've got a low block, it means Richarlison is going to be in the centre more, Son a little bit further wide. So I don't really like the Son captaincy this week. Salah against Arsenal. Yes, it's Mo Salah. Yes, he will terrorise Zinchenko. However, I think Arsenal are still very good defensively. So he'd be my second option. Watkins at home to Sheffield United. It feels like a gift. It feels like it's just too much to pass up. Aston Villa are the best home team. Sheffield United are the worst team. Don't overthink it. Go Watkins.
It does feel like when they play on Friday. Yeah, they play on Friday, 8:00. So it feels like about 10 o'clock on Friday, FPL Twitter is going to be going fucking mental that he blanked. It just feels like that. But yeah, I mean, every reason that you just said, their home form is incredible.
He's great.
He is scoring goals fairly consistently, and it don't look a gift horse in the mouth, I guess, is what I'm saying. But it does feel like a trap.
Occam's razor. The most obvious answer is usually the right one. And
yeah, I agree. If I was going to be really, I don't know, like, is Kieran Trippier a captaincy option?
Yes, because I think Newcastle will keep a clean sheet at Luton. However, I also don't think they'll score a lot of goals. I think Aston Villa at home versus Sheffield United will score a lot of goals. So I think Trippier is certainly an option if you've got him, but getting to him is difficult if you don't have him already. So
yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? But like the way I see it is, if they keep a clean sheet, Trippier probably gets 9 points.
Yeah, but Ollie Watkins, if he gets 1 goal, he gets 9 points. If he gets 2, he gets more. I think I'd back Watkins to get a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I am going Watkins. It just feels like you can't not go Watkins, but it wouldn't surprise me if Trippier does outscore him.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the thing is, like you say, Watkins' ceiling is much higher.
I've also transferred in as my defender transfer, moving Dallo out, Konsa for Aston Villa. Pau Torres is potentially injured, and I just wanted a Villa defender who's going to start the next few games. I'm planning on wildcarding at some point in January, so I'll only have him for about a month. So it's just very much a bit of a placeholder for now, because I don't want to be starting Taylor or Archer ever, basically. So brought in Konsa for this week.
Yeah, I don't see that. Seems like a good move to me. Like the only other one I'd be tempted with is a fullback, but we've been there, done that. Cash did almost get a goal at the weekend.
The fullback slots at Villa, though, are so unreliable. Like Moreno picked up an attacking return, but that's because Luca Digne was out and he's had that place. So I think that side is very contentious. Cash isn't good enough to defend, isn't good enough to attack. It's kind of bang average at both. He doesn't have a guaranteed starting spot. I don't like the fullbacks. I think the centre-backs are safer. I think Pau Torres, if he was fit, would be first choice, but Konsa has been starting every game. Feels just like a bit of a safety option. Villa's fixtures are good up until game week 22, basically, when they play Newcastle. So for me, I just wanted someone that I can rely on for starts over this period.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. You're even making me think, do I want to go Konsa instead of Colwill? But
no, I already had Colwill. I think Chelsea, for all of their faults, are probably more likely to keep clean sheets over the next 4 or 5 than Villa are.
I wouldn't be convinced by that, but
well, who knows? But I think Konsa for me is a rotation option more than anything. I mean, we could go to other clubs, but they're the main ones I wanted to talk about. Not really worth talking about City as they're going to be away into. Also, I find it a little bit weird with City that Pep seems to really be prioritising the Club World Cup. Like, he's talking about it as if it's like the biggest deal in the world, and I guess it's the only thing he hasn't won. Fair enough. Oh no, Pep's won it, hasn't he? He won it with Barca.
He must have done.
Yeah, I think he did win it with Barca because he had that 6th trophy. Yeah, but it's the only thing City haven't won, so they're making a big deal out of it because there's lots of narrative around Haaland going and playing in Saudi, perhaps being back for it. So I think actually holding Haaland this extra week and being able to bring him in, then bring another City player in next week alongside him is a big advantage because for City in that game week 20 against Sheffield United, if you've got 2 or 3 City, you could have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and obviously there's this upcoming double that will happen at some point, which is sort of floating out there in the ether. We're just waiting for it to be confirmed. So yeah, if you can get City in for that point, I mean, I know like Grealish has scored in 3 in a row in the league. He looks like he's finding some form again.
Not interested. Him and Doku, you never know who's starting. Not
yeah,
interested.
That's the only problem we got. And KDB is back in training. There was a picture of him training yesterday.
That's your Salah replacement for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I may even do that a week early because Liverpool's game in game week 20 is Newcastle, City's is Sheffield United. I think I would be very, very tempted to go a week early on KDB.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, that just seems like too perfect. KDB comes back just as Salah goes to AFCON. It's like it's meant to be.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Awesome. Well, look, that's pretty much everything we wanted to discuss. Next game week deadline is Thursday. Is it Thursday evening?
Yeah, Thursday evening is Palace v Brighton, the big derby game, which is a derby for no real reason. And then runs through until Christmas Eve when Wolves play Chelsea. I bet the Chelsea fans are very thankful for the Premier League for organising them a game at 1 o'clock on Christmas Eve.
Couldn't happen to a nicer set of fans.
True. And then, yeah, obviously it's a 48-hour turnaround before Boxing Day. So I think it's safe to say we will not be recording between these next 2 game weeks because one, it'll be Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And even if we did want to find time to record, no one would listen to it anyway because they're all going to have plans. So, yeah. And then I think it's then, so that's next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is that game week. And then again, it's 48 hours before on the 30th.
Keep an eye on it, guys, because it's gonna get chaotic. We'll try and get a recording in like at some point over the Christmas period. Maybe we'll do it from the pub.
Yeah, that's fun. I'm like, I feel like I'm already in Christmas. I think it started in New York of just like I'm eating all the time at the moment, and I just can't stop myself. So it's great.
Oh, loving life. You put on loads of weight for Christmas and then you keep it on because we're not idiots. Cool.
New year, new me. Grow up.
Have fun over the Christmas period, everyone. Don't get too stressed over FPL. Everyone hates it right now. That's why it's fun. That's why we do this. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you all very soon.
Merry Christmas, guys.